Hey there, it's Cindy again. Welcome back. We are working in Module 4. We're talking about customers and jobs. This is actually video number 7 where I want to introduce you to how to invoice from estimates. If you do not create estimates in your business, then you can skip 4-7 and 4-8 and just go right down to 4-9 and just start with invoicing customers for products and services. But let's talk about how to take your estimates and turn them into invoices. Let's flip over to QuickBooks and we will go ahead and get started. Now that you've created an estimate for your customer, you'll want to go ahead and pull some of those items onto an invoice. That way you can send the invoice out and get paid for some of that hard work you've been doing. Before we do that, we're going to be talking about progress invoicing as we go through and create this invoice. And I want to make sure again that you know where that option is in case it's not turned on. If you go back to Edit on your menu and come down to Preferences, you want to make sure on the left here that you're clicked on Jobs and Estimates, Company Preferences tab, and make sure you've chosen Yes for the option that says, do you do progress invoicing? This is what's going to allow you to pull items from that estimate onto an invoice. I'm going to go ahead and click OK because that looks okay, and let's get started. I'm going to choose Create Invoices. The first thing I want to point out is if you have this gray bar, you can click this arrow to show the history. This may be on already and you want to actually hide the history by clicking on this arrow. That will give you more room to work with on your screen. The history will just give you the recent transactions, any notes, customer payments, things like that that you may want to see as you're creating this invoice. We're going to go ahead and hide that for now. And notice the first thing that QuickBooks wants to know is who is my customer and my job that I'm actually creating an invoice for. I'm going to choose Tom Allen's Sunroom. Now you have a list of available estimates. These are estimates that you've created for Tom Allen's Sunroom, and you haven't pulled everything onto an invoice yet. If this window doesn't pop up, the first thing I would do is check your estimate to see if you have the exact same customer and job. If I created the estimate originally and I just had Tom Allen and not the sunroom, but here I chose the sunroom, there's not going to be an exact match, so this window won't pop up. I'm going to go ahead and click on the estimate I'd like to pull from and then click OK. And now you see the progress invoicing window. This is what I wanted to make sure was turned on over in the preferences. Here I have 3 choices. I can go ahead and pull everything on the estimate onto this invoice. That would be the first one. The next thing I could do is create an invoice for a percentage. If I wanted to create an invoice for 30%, I would just type in the 30. It will let you put the percent sign in. That's okay, but it does know it's a percentage. And then the third option at the bottom, notice, is where you would create an invoice for selected items. I'm going to show you how that one works. I'll just click on OK. And here you'll see each item that you had actually pulled onto your estimate. You can also see the quantity and all the information about each one. If you want to pull over 3 of the hours of framing, you would just type that in the quantity area. And then here, let's say I pull over 1 of the wood doors. You could also go in and put in the percentages if you prefer to do that. I'm going to click OK. And now you can see that it pulled in those quantities that I just told it I wanted to pull over. If you wanted to add something to this, just click on the next line down and type it in. You can add as many items as you want to. Maybe there's a freight charge that you want to get reimbursed for. They actually already have an item set up called freight reimbursement here. I'm just going to say there's a quantity of 1 of these, and I'll just make up an amount, $193.26, and you can see it tracks all of that. You can see at the bottom here that the sales tax that I'm using is San Thomas, and the tax it's charging is $84.51. You can see the total. If there were payments applied, you would see that here. You wouldn't see any payments applied until you've saved this and then recorded a payment and then opened this back up. That's when you will see any payments that have been applied. And of course, there's the balances due right down at the bottom. Over on the left-hand side, you can see there's a place for a customer message. They have a few of these already set up, but if you wanted to add a new one, you would just choose Add New and type that in. I'll just choose this one here that says, please sign and date this proposal. There's a place for a memo below that, and no one will see this memo except you. It's not going to print out on your invoice. There's also a place for the customer tax code. This just means this customer is subject to sales tax. A couple things at the top I want to go over real quick. If you're using the class feature, make sure that you choose the correct class. You want to use that consistently if you're going to use it so that your reports are accurate. There's also a place for the template that you want to use for this invoice. We're going to cover templates in a later module. Here's the date of your invoice. I'm going to change this to December 27th. The invoice number is populated automatically. You can change that if you'd like, and double check that your billing information is correct for your customer. This customer has terms of net 30. I can change that if I like. You can see that if I choose net 15 as an example, that this due date reflects 15 days from this date right here. When you're finished, just go ahead and save and close if you're finished, or if you want to create another one, you can choose Save and New. I'm going to save and close for now. And you'll notice that I changed the terms over here. And this is asking me, do I want QuickBooks to change those terms permanently in the customer's record? I'll go ahead and say yes for now. And that invoice has now been completed. Let's go ahead and move over now to part 2. That's going to be video number 4-8. And we'll continue and talk about some of the options you have when you're creating that invoice.